So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? So, it's already 3 hours long. Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the fuck up.
Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker.
Oh, Lord.
Not Smokey.
Oh, Lord.
Jay-Z shot 3 videos on Epstein Island with supermodels that were under the age of 18 that were provided by Naomi Campbell.
These Epstein-like characters have existed throughout history, whether they were kings or what, human beings are human beings universally, so.
Back in 2020, Ricky Gervais walked onto the Golden Globe stage and did what no one else dared. He looked straight at Hollywood's biggest stars sitting right in front of him and said the name Jeffrey Epstein out loud, not just casually either. He called out the very people in that room who knew him, the same crowd who flew on his jet, partied on his island, and stayed silent while he preyed on young girls. You could feel the tension. Nervous laughs, awkward smiles, and Ricky just stood there grinning like he knew something the rest of us didn't. Fast forward to now, and those long rumored files are finally starting to surface. Names are coming out, connections are being questioned. And something strange is happening. Some of Hollywood's biggest names have gone completely quiet. Others, like Ellen DeGeneres, have reportedly even left the country. Ricky warned them. He stood on that stage and said it plainly. And now, the same people who laughed it off are suddenly nowhere to be seen. Coincidence? Maybe. But tonight, we're digging into the names, the silence, and the question no one in Hollywood wants to answer. Where are all the celebrities who once associated with Epstein? And why the sudden silence? If Icy started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So if you win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So if you win, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and go. Ricky Gervais has hosted the Golden Globes 5 times, and every single time he's done the same thing. He tells the truth.
On a serious note, just looking at all the faces here reminds me of some of the great work that's been done this year by cosmetic surgeons.
Now, to understand why Ricky Gervais matters again right now, you have to go back to that night in January 2020. He didn't walk on stage guessing. He knew exactly what he was about to say. And more importantly, he knew exactly who he was saying it to. That room was packed with some of the most powerful figures in entertainment, people with carefully crafted public images, people rumored to have attended Epstein's parties, flown on his plane, visited his island, and stayed silent for years. Ricky started light, promoting his show After Life, a dark comedy about a man dealing with grief after losing his wife to cancer. But then, right when the room settled, he flipped the switch and dropped a brutal truth bomb.
Our first season of Afterlife, instead of watching this show, that's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
I've watched the first season of Afterlife. It's about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this. Season 2 is on the way. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. For a moment, everything froze. No one moved. Cameras tried to cut away, but the damage was already done. Ricky had just said the one thing nobody says out loud. He pointed directly at the elephant in the room, the one everyone was pretending didn't exist. And beneath the joke, there was no humor. He was calling out the hypocrisy. Celebrities who smiled for photos with a man later exposed as running a sex trafficking ring. The same people who said nothing while it happened. But this wasn't the first time Ricky used that stage to warn people. That same night, while joking about Hollywood, he also mentioned Ronan Farrow, the journalist who exposed Harvey Weinstein, won a Pulitzer Prize, and became one of the most feared names in the industry.
Room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world, people from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you.
At the time, people laughed it off like just another Ricky Gervais moment, but looking back, it hits differently. He wasn't just joking, he was warning them, letting them know their secrets weren't as safe as they thought, that someone was watching, that the walls were closing in, Ricky has always been clear about why he does this. In interviews, he said hosting these shows gives him a choice. Either play nice, flatter the celebrities, keep them comfortable, or speak to the millions watching at home, the people who actually fund the industry, the ones tired of watching the powerful congratulate themselves.
At these 40 people whose lives were destroyed, and they're out in the elements, living with that, and the fact that they're not going to be able to get those lives back, that this is a new reality for them.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
You know, we flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa.
Yeah.
And I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people. We was with a delegation.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
You know, it's factually true that I was only at dinners. You know, I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, you know, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Don't get to Hollywood and start sleeping with white women and doing cocaine, because it'll kill you.
What made you think, you know what, I'm just going to hammer him? I don't care what the...
Well, I thought, when they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires, and it was a no-brainer. I was doing it for them, you know, and I didn't want to. It wasn't set out to hurt their feelings, but it was. If you're going to make it a spectator sport, then you better have something. There better be something.
Now, years later, those Epstein files are slowly coming out, and something noticeable is happening. Some of the biggest names linked, even loosely, have gone quiet, almost like they've disappeared. Ricky stepped onto that stage and said it openly. He looked at some of the most powerful people in the world and made it clear he didn't care who they were connected to. And now, the same people who laughed back then aren't laughing anymore. So let's look at who's gone quiet. First, Tom Hanks. Now, his name isn't prominently listed in the Epstein files, but it does appear in a 2013 email from Epstein's publicist in a context suggesting social contact, not evidence of any crime, but still a connection to a world he's never publicly addressed. Then the rumors exploded online. Claims that Hanks was banned from Greece, that his citizenship was revoked. It spread fast. But fact checkers quickly shut it down. Completely fabricated. His name never appeared in any criminal case as those rumors claimed. Still, the damage stuck. Since then, several public appearances have reportedly been canceled, interviews reduced, and Hanks has largely gone quiet.
Ashcraft on Twitter, who has been accusing Tom Hanks of her when she was 13. Her dad sold her to Tom Hanks.
Since when has this brand of common decency and professionalism been put on hold just because of dynamics in the workplace? Is this what's going on with social media, that Oprah and I cannot go on a billionaire's boat to Tahiti with a former president of the United States and not keep it secret, for God's sake?
Then there's Leonardo DiCaprio. Ricky has joked about him for years, his dating history, his preference for women under 25, and his fear of aging. At the 2020 Globes, Gervais delivered a line that made the entire room shift uncomfortably.
Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... Even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know. You're nearly fit.
But beyond the jokes, DiCaprio's name has reportedly surfaced multiple times in connection to Epstein-related discussions. In a 2009 email, former UK Minister Peter Mandelson asked whether international groups could get DiCaprio's support. In another exchange from 2016, someone using the name Deepak Chopra mentioned hosting a dinner and wondered if DiCaprio might attend. Epstein himself even tried to arrange a meeting between DiCaprio and Woody Allen, though there's no proof it ever happened. Then the internet took things even further. Wild claims surfaced online, alleging disturbing coded emails involving DiCaprio and Allen, but every credible fact check has debunked these stories. They originated from unreliable sources known for spreading false information, the so-called cannibal code theory, completely baseless. There is no evidence linking DiCaprio to anything like that. He has denied any personal relationship with Epstein or ever visiting his island. His representatives have also stated clearly that he never even spoke to Epstein on the phone. Still, with so many documents yet to be fully 25 clip. And then there's Oprah Winfrey, arguably one of the most respected women in modern media, admired for decades, until now. Some survivors have reportedly described her as a connector, someone who introduced young women to Epstein and other powerful figures. These are allegations, not proven charges, but they're out there. Oprah was also a vocal supporter of Jutta Teixeira de Faria, the Brazilian spiritual healer later convicted of multiple sexual assault charges and sentenced to decades in prison. She praised him. She even brought him onto her show. Online, the speculation has only grown. Some claim there was a direct link between Oprah Jutta Faria and Jeffrey Epstein. None of it has been proven, but the rumors haven't faded either. Since these stories surfaced, Oprah has noticeably scaled back her public appearances. A woman who spent 40 years in the spotlight has quietly taken a step back. Her recent appearance at Paris Fashion Week sparked fresh online chatter about her health, her weight loss, and her slow, careful movement.
Number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? What? Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
I always blamed myself. Even though intellectually I would say to other kids, I would speak to people and say, oh, the child is never to blame. You're never responsible for station in your life. I still believed I was responsible somehow, that I was.
Three of the biggest names in entertainment, three people who were sitting in that room when Ricky Gervais said he didn't care who their friends were. And now, in the months since these revelations began surfacing, all three have gone noticeably quiet. Now, when one celebrity linked to Epstein sells a house, it's called a lifestyle change. When two relocate, it's labeled coincidence. At this point, I have no doubt they've created human clones. I mean, they've cloned dogs. You can literally clone your pet, take the DNA, get a new puppy. It all starts off sounding normal, but it's not. First, you think, okay, we're in control, but how could you not question it? That's the real question. How could you not? And that's why in that world, they can do certain things, then just say they've stopped. Joe Rogan has spent years pulling back the curtain on Hollywood, but even he seemed surprised when he saw what had supposedly happened to Jim Carrey. He looked different, almost like a completely new person. His voice sounded deeper, his eyes appeared lighter, and then came the clone theories. And strangely, Jim Carrey isn't the only one tied to these rumors. Kanye West has been at the center of similar speculation for years, especially after his public breakdowns, sudden behavior shifts, and claims that the industry was trying to control him. Then there's Jamie Foxx. After his 2023 medical scare, he returned with a noticeably different energy. Even he joked about it, saying when he woke up, he thought he'd turned into a white man. Joe Rogan has connected these ideas on his podcast, questioning what really happens to celebrities who challenge the system, who gets silenced, who gets replaced, and who's allowed to keep speaking. The bar is set so high for a clone, you can't really use it much. Well, if you believe in a soul, a clone wouldn't have one. You can't give it something you don't have. Right, things like lungs, hearts, arms, you can replace those. But consciousness, we still don't understand that. On February the 26th, 2026, Jim Carrey stepped onto a stage in Paris to accept an honorary César award. It should have been a career-defining moment, but within hours, the internet wasn't talking about the award at all. Fans who had followed Carrey for years started pointing out the same details. His wrinkles looked gone, his facial structure seemed different, his eyes appeared lighter, even his speech patterns felt off. And then there was one detail that really stood out. He was signing autographs with his right hand. He did dessert, even though he's known to be left-handed.
be Jim Carrey? Look at his eye color compared to the imposter.
Also amazing.
So everybody thinks this is a fake Jim Carrey.
You know, really brilliant. Oh my gosh.
They're doing this?
Was off the hook. I mean, I can't believe he committed to doing all that. I was really, is this about someone else? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
What the? What the? Dude, there's no way, right? Like, what is this? I mean, this looks like bull, honestly. Like, trying to make Jim Carrey one of the worst psyops in the world.
So this is supposed to be Jim Carrey. Look at his eye color compared to the imposter. That's insane. So people really think this is a fake Jim Carrey? Seriously, this is wild. I can't believe he'd go this far. Wait, is this even him? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now. Thank you. What the? No way. What is this? This looks off. Like really off. Now, some people say Jim Carrey may have simply had cosmetic work done. But surgery doesn't change your eyes. It doesn't completely alter how you move or speak. And something about this felt different. Then an old clip resurfaced, adding even more fuel to the speculation. Years ago, Carrey had told David Letterman that he used decoys and body doubles to confuse photographers. Revealed, questions continue to linger.